This video is sponsored by Mobalytics. Check them out in the link in the description down below. Find some amazing guides, builds, and other cool stuff. They have some really good Elden Ring Nightreign guides as well as other games, so don't forget, check the link in the description down below and become a pro today. Even though other great things are happening on my channel right now, Elden Ring Nightreign is still one of the games that I play every single day. After over 60 hours of gameplay, I can safely say I know how to fight every single boss in Elden Ring Nightreign. In particular, the Nightlords. In this video, I will be showing you every single weakness for every single final boss in Elden Ring Nightreign, including the Shape of Night. So if you haven't beaten the final boss yet, well, this will contain spoilers. Of course, I can't take full credit for this. I will include the link in the description to the original creator of this amazing chart. So this person actually looked at the files and found out every single piece of weakness for all 8 Nightlords in Elden Ring Nightreign. So let's go over them, shall we? Tricephalos, also known as Gladius, is notably weak to holy damage and slightly vulnerable to pierce attacks. Conversely, he is highly resistant to fire damage, which only goes down to 50%. In terms of status effects, Gladius is very vulnerable to poison, frostbite, and bleed, with moderate susceptibility to sleep. The high holy weakness suggests that faith-based builds can be particularly effective against him. I personally used faith-based or holy-based weapons when fighting him. When you deal enough damage, he will be debuffed, deal less damage, and take more damage. Gaping Jaw, or Adel, is resistant across many areas, with no notable physical weaknesses. Elementally, Adel resists both fire and lightning. There are no bonuses to exploit in melee or magic. However, his susceptibility to status effects, notably frostbite, bleed, sleep, and particularly poison, gives players room to apply ailment-based strategies. I personally found it easier to defeat Sentient Pest first, as it allows you to get a relic that transforms your starting armament into a poison armament. The Sentient Pest, or Gnoster, the moth part, is particularly weak to slash and pierce. Its elemental weaknesses are fire for the most part. He is resistant to magic, lightning, and holy, with magic being the least damage dealing option here. Gnoster is also very weak to sleep and poison, and I'm talking about the moth part. You can also use rot, bleed, and frostbite as some solid backups. Next up we have the scorpion part of the Sentient Pest, Gnoster. This one is particularly weak to strike, meaning blunt weapons such as colossal weapons will deal the most damage. Shortly after, followed by pierce, such as rapier and other things like that. It has a 10% resistance to magic and 35% fire elemental damage bonus. It is slightly resistant to lightning and holy with minus 10% damage mitigation. It is particularly weak to poison, and the rest is pretty much the same. Rot, bleed, frostbite, and sleep are all sort of solid backup plans in case you don't have poison or fire. Augur, also known as Maris, is susceptible to standard attacks and lightning, but resists slash, pierce, and fire. He is resistant to holy, narrowing optimal elemental choices to lightning status-wise. Only rot and frostbite are very effective. Players should focus on strike damage and lightning-infused weapons or spells. Next up we have Equilibrius beast, Libra. Libra has a moderate weakness to standard attacks and holy damage, making faith builds especially potent. Elemental resistance is minimal, and fire offers an additional opening, so in case you don't get a frenzy weapon or spell, you can use fire, which will deal sort of the same amount of damage that frenzy would deal. In fact, it is highly recommended that you go for a fire/weapon if you want to deal some moderate damage. But most importantly, holy is extremely effective against Equilibrius beast, dealing a whopping plus 35% bonus damage. In terms of status effects, well, it's a little bit all over the place. Poison and Rot are sort of okay with 154 bonus damage dealt, and Bleed and Frostbite being particularly very effective against the Equilibrius beast. This is the only Nightlord and only character in the entire game that does get affected by madness. Next up, we have the Darkdrift Knight, Fulghor. Fulghor lacks any physical or magical weakness, but is weak to lightning, which takes a full 20% bonus damage, and is susceptible to bleed, frostbite, sleep, and poison, all 154. However, his holy resistance is minus 30%, which makes him a poor target for faith-based builds. Lightning damage and status application are recommended, so I personally recommend a very good faith lightning build to take him out. But I personally found that playing as Wilder or Raider with lightning-based weapons is also very good. Next up we have Fissure in the Fog, Caligo. Caligo is slightly weak to slash, with plus 15% bonus damage, and heavily resistant to standard, with minus 15%, and magic, fire being minus 20%. So don't go for magic or fire against Caligo, the dragon. Lightning again proves useful here, with a plus 35% bonus damage. Status effects are especially promising, with Rot, Bleed, Frostbite, and Sleep being all at 252 plus, with Frostbite and Sleep reaching a whopping 541 bonus status effect buildup, making them extremely effective. So I would love to see your clips of sleeping the dragon Caligo in Elden Ring Nightreign, so feel free to send them over to me on social media at NeonSlice. Lastly, we have the Night Aspect. Now this is the spoiler. If you haven't beaten 4 Nightlords, you don't want to look at this, okay? So anyway, Heolstor is the final boss in Nightreign. He has 2 phases. The first phase, the Shape of Night, is weak to strike and slash with plus 15% bonus damage, and Holy with plus 35% bonus damage, with a minor fire vulnerability of 20%. Physical ailment strategy is limited, only Rot and Frostbite with 541 on Frostbite and 252 on Rot stand out. Use holy-based weapons or incantations, and consider frostbite weapons for stagger potential. I personally found that playing as, once again, Raider with a frostbite weapon or Rot was very, very efficient if the weapon had holy. Next up, lastly, we have Heolstor, the phase number 2. In phase 2, Heolstor retains much of his phase 1 weakness profiles, with added vulnerability to standard attacks, which goes up to 10%. Holy remains the most potent ailment, with 20% bonus damage, and Frostbite with 541 continues to be highly effective. This phase calls for the same approach with a slightly expanded range of viable physical damage types. I personally found that playing characters such as Guardian, Wilder, and Raider was extremely effective. Across the spectrum of Nightlords in Elden Ring Nightreign, certain trends emerge. Lightning and holy damage are the most consistently exploitable elemental weaknesses, making them ideal focal points for faith or dexterity builds. Strike damage is widely effective, particularly against insectoid or armored foes like the Gnoster variants. Status effects, especially Frostbite, Poison, and Bleed, remain reliable tools, with some bosses like Caligo and Gnoster showing extreme susceptibility, especially Caligo with Sleep. Well, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this video for the Nightlords and their weaknesses in Nightreign. If you have any more questions, please leave a comment down below. And if you need any help in-game, don't forget to join us on the Discord server. Currently, we are a smaller community, so we are trying to grow. If you do join, make sure you include your platform and see if someone's around. But don't be surprised if no one's around yet, because we are still very new to this game. So don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video.